What up, friends? Well, please excuse the suit. I was working. I will loosen this. A little more formal for Sports Center. I do Sports Center in Canada, so I was just live, but I thought I would wind down by chilling with you guys here on my YouTube channel. Excuse me, I might have a little weird sound. There it is. Yes. So if you are new to my YouTube channel, if you're one of the 1,000 new subscribers today, I have Joe Rogan to thank for that. So before we get into UFC Jacks, I'd like to thank Joe Rogan. Today on the JRE, I'll post it tomorrow. The clip of it. I think it's cool if I do. Today on JRE, Joe and his buddy Tom Papa watched two of my breakdowns and laughed hysterically. I will tell you, thank you, Joe. So there's like 1,000 new people subscribed to my YouTube channel. If you are one of them, thank you. It means a lot to me. But Joe Rogan, man, thank you, dude. Like you have been so generous to me. I can't even thank you enough. I should take this stuff off. I do enjoy dressing up a little bit for work. I was on Sports Center earlier tonight, and but yeah, let's dig into some of this action that we saw. So I will show you quickly here my little studio setup. I've got lights, obviously, and then I've got my screen right there, so I can sit and watch those fights. And but my screen doesn't have sound, so I turn up music. So I don't know what the commentators were saying. I don't know what their narrative was, but the story, as I saw it on, and I'm sure it was similar on that fight, was that Anthony Smith excuse me, Anthony Smith was playing the long kind of range game with his jab. He was plastic and elastic and supple and very, very relaxed. So he certainly didn't punch himself out. He certainly wasn't fatigued. What he, I think, was, and when he looks, it's going to be a tough couple of weeks for him or more. He took a lot of damage, facial damage, nose, orbital, dental. Like he took a lot of damage. There was a few shots that he took early, and he seemed to react. Is probably damage into here. Could be like with somebody said here. I can't read your comments very well, but I could say he lost teeth among others. So the shot hit him, and you saw him kind of, and he doesn't really know where it hurts. And I've had that experience when I was fighting. Um, Thank you for all the kind words, everybody. It's nice to have you here after a long work day, but a wonderful day. If you're just joining me again, Joe Rogan, thank you for rolling my breakdowns on your show today. There's 1,000 new subscribers here on the channel, and we owe Joe. But yeah, when you take that kind of damage, you actually don't necessarily know where it is, and the trauma is experienced within your body. It isn't just like, oh, my face hurts. Your body hurts. Your body reacts. I've been speaking to a lot of fighters lately, and I hear all different explanations, and I love hearing these things. Somebody today, Daniel Lurwell, a bare knuckle boxer, fantastic bare knuckle boxer. When I was speaking to him today, he said it felt like somebody threw hot water all over his body when he took a big shot, and that's a great description. You experience. I'm so sorry, guys. I can't read a lot of your comments right now because my vision's a little wonk. When you experience that shot, of course you see that and you go, "Oh my God, that must have hurt the nose." But it's experienced in totality. Your nervous system feels it. Your body feels it. There's enzymes released. There's things that take place, physiological things that take place within the body. So it isn't just, "Oh shit, it's bleeding. It hurts. My teeth, whatever." It's full body. Once that had happened, then he, had a hard time, couldn't really do much. It showed a lot of courage, heart and courage. We use those words. Sometimes we don't really think about what they mean. We see that and we say, oh man, that guy's got so much heart. But think about it. Really take a moment before we go further and think about it. You can't breathe properly. You can't see. You now feel weak, and you do feel a weakness in your hands when you're injured that badly. And as you're doing it, you can't do anything. Every shot hurts you more. Everything is more traumatic. It isn't just, that guy's got a lot of heart. It's something real. It's something real. It's something most of us are not capable of. And what Anthony Smith showed is that it's this truly. It's not. I'm not over exaggerating to say it's the human spirit. It's what makes humans great. And so he did that. He showed that. But Glover just swarming him, and there's an argument that from the time that the damage, that trauma to the face, people mentioned it was teeth, that I guess was mentioned in the broadcast. I had music on. I have no sound on the monitor in my studio, but I could also tell from the shot that there was damage in and around the orbital and probably the nose. It seemed like the nose was the first one. And if you guys remember Rory McDonald and Robbie Lawler, and when Rory kind of like collapsed, there was sort of grains of sand that he could feel within his face, but it was also just a general overall weakness that happens to the body. So that's what happened from that moment, and that's the fight game. I just hate to even make it like, I'm so careful that it doesn't sound like I could possibly be criticizing Anthony Smith, because it is impossible. Please excuse me. I was dressed for work. It is impossible. It's wrong to criticize these guys. And that includes, I know we can all criticize refs and stuff, but refs are there. Like, they're right there, and they're experienced, and we don't have that experience or that specialized knowledge. And we don't have that experience with Anthony Smith. But when he looks back months from now, I think he's going to think he was just being a little too precious, little too. Confidence is a wonderful thing, but when there's too much certainty, and there's that fine line. You're relaxed, you're playing, you're pawing the head, everything's cool. You're trying to stay chill. There's too chill. You're still in a fucking cage fight with a professional killer. And it turns on a dime like that. And from those moments, it was going to be the end. Now, there was some debate at work on SportsCenter Canada. That's my job tonight. That's my UFC job, as I cover UFC for the Canadian broadcast partner. There was some debate with some of the other guys. Oh, that should have been stopped, man. Now, my producer was like, asked us, do we think the corner should stop it? One of my partners on the show said, yeah, it should have been stopped in the third. And I was typing, absolutely not. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Then there was like, what about the ref? And they're like, oh, and another one of my buddies was like, if I was the ref, I'd have stopped that in the third round. You're not the ref. These refs have specialized training and knowledge, and they're looking for certain cues that we don't even see. Now, over time, you learn what those are, and you can and do see them. But these guys are not. It's sometimes so hard to explain, but you don't know what you don't know. And we'll often see people say, punch was to the back of the head. The back of the head, as it is explained to a referee, is literally just a thin thing. So actually, this is not the back of the head. Now, someone's reaction will be, it's obviously the back of the head. Yes, when discussing the back of the head with a regular person in a regular conversation, it is. But to a referee, what is defined as the back of the head is different. And same thing here. The ref should have stopped the fight. The ref is looking for very specific cues, and he has to allow that guy to continue. Now, I'll talk about the corner. People will often say that corner should have stopped it. You make a lot with a lot of these very close relationships between fighter and coach. You make a cheers after work. You make a very deep bond. You make a discussion, and you make a, oh, thanks. That was a couple of cheers. I literally just got this after work. I wrapped my job today at 12:30. I got to get up early. It's just nothing. It's so exciting. I've got like so much stuff I'm doing, so many breakdowns and so many Bellators, my primary job. And then there's so much UFC going on that with TSN, I'm doing that. And it's just so much stuff. It's great. People popping in. Great fights tonight. Yes, indeed. So part of the conversation, if you're just joining us, we discussed a little bit about the trauma to the face and what that experience is like. Not that we know, we can describe it, but to experience it is different. Try to explain to somebody who's never been in love what it feels like to be in love. You can't. You can't. And although, to feel total loss when you've lost your mother or somebody deeply close to you, that feeling, if they've never lost, they don't know it. And this is the same. It's that type of nebulous experience that's difficult to express. I only had 9 pro fights, and they were very low level, very low level. So I don't know these things, but over time, take that reference that I have with the knowledge that you gain by analyzing and thousands of conversations with fighters and coaches, and you do the best you can to try to share what I'm trying to learn. Um, but so the coach, we will see it. People will say the coach should have stopped it. That coach got to stop it. It isn't just what he should or shouldn't do right now. It isn't like you'll hear, oh, he's got to give his fighter a chance. It's not about that. It's about a lifelong or career long or deep connected, almost family like relationship where you make a deal with your coach. If I can stand, you will not stop this fight. Promise me that. And the coach, over time, in some of these relationships, they will make that promise. Excuse me. They will make that promise. They will say, "No, if you can stand, we'll let you continue. Give me that chance. Let me do it." And it isn't sometimes even just I can win. I want to see how far I can go. I want to see what I'm capable of. I want to be there. So you make that deal. You make that true, honest one. And if you betray it in the third round, those other 6 or 7 minutes that took place, you know, the fighter would that never took place. Instead, you stop the fight. The fighter is what if you should have, and they'll feel betrayed, and it can destroy a relationship. Now, I know when I'm saying this that also the damage that Anthony took can be life changing, and it is. Let's be honest. The damage Anthony Smith took is life changing. He's a different person from today forward. He will be if there's breaks in the facial bones, breaks in the teeth, he'll be dealing with this for in the micro for months. But in the macro, you don't know what it does to you. Not just, let's just say you don't get CTE or symptoms, you don't have, long-term effects on your brain. And we don't know, those of us who have fought, we don't know what damage we may have done. But you are different. The experience changes you. The pain changes you. When you saw Francis Ngannou have that fight where he didn't do much after the Stipe fight, people criticize people who've never been punched in the face by a heavyweight champion criticize him. But that is a human reaction to that. So all of that's happening, right? All of that is happening. Um, he looked good at the beginning, but I'm careful. I don't ever. The more you train, the more you fight, the less you would ever want to criticize somebody. The guys who don't train and fight, they'll be, oh, this guy, he didn't show up. And they'll say crazy shit. Stephen A. Smith, and I'm not trying to start anything, but Stephen A. Smith, he never fought, right? So he can say that kind of stuff and not feel the guilt and the pain and the shame of saying that about a fighter, because if you know what that is, you would never say that. So I don't want to criticize him, but I think he might look at it and think later he was being a little too precious. He was being a little too, cocky. He didn't look cocky, but sort of an internal cockiness where, that jab is working, that touch is working. I got this guy. I can do what I want. I'm going to stay relaxed and loose. And relaxed and loose is great. But then you get fucked up. This is still the fucking people up business, right? So it was a tough one to watch for him. Happy for Glover Teixeira. A lot of talk from me right now about Anthony Smith. Because when you watch that, you're experiencing how well it goes, and then you're experiencing, there's something called the vagus nerve, GUS, vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is part of our nervous system. We, the viewer. And it gets sort of stimulated when you watch somebody kind of suffer and recover and deal with pain and setbacks. It's part of why we like action movies, or part of how we connect to people in different environments, and people in our pack and people in the tribe, and fellow humans. It's something in our experience. So you experience what Anthony Smith must be feeling, and you feel empathy, and you feel you feel something. You feel, you don't know even. It's some, if you're being honest, it's something a little bit beyond words, verbiage. It's a nervous system lighting and stimulation, and you feel for him. But when we sit back and we go the other direction, it's in reverse. Teixeira took a lot of abuse. If you don't know what you're seeing, and this is not, you don't have developed specialized knowledge in this, you'd be like, oh, he wasn't hurting Teixeira. He was fucking hurting Teixeira. He was. He was hurting him. Those the relax. It's like the whipping of a towel instead of like the clubbing with a towel. The whip is brutal. That relaxed kind of pop, and just long. And he was hurting Teixeira. Teixeira had to weather that. And there's this is what happens with experience. Teixeira's 40. I had my last fight, I was 44. I never had that. Most of us never have that, what he had to push like that, and keep going. The only answer for Glover Teixeira, here's an old school, more technical element instead of all of the nebulous, feely shit that I'm into, right? The essence of fighting. And I believe that that's more important than the X's and O's. Now I do. Now that I've studied the X's and O's for so many years, the X's and O's are a very shallow part of the explanation of what's happening. But Glover Teixeira, from a X's and O's standpoint, there's nothing for him out here. There's only something for him here. So he has to move forward, striking and hitting. To do that against a long guy who's touching you. Just even when this hand keeps going up, eventually you're like, okay, I don't want that there. Imagine if it's crushing your nose, hitting your eyeball, smacking your face, jarring your head. It's discouraging. It hurts. So if you touch the element of the stove enough times, you stop touching it. It hurts. But it's also discouraging. It's discouraging. This isn't working. That feeling of this isn't working. Man, us normal humans, we quit quick. You try, so, I'm gonna start a Facebook page on my Etsy store, and you make 3 posts. You're like, this isn't working. Like, we're humans. That's what we do. I'm not criticizing us. We all do this, right? Not fucking Glover Teixeira. Pow, pow, pow. Eating it. If he stops trying to push forward, he loses that fight, gets picked apart, and he's already all fucked up going in wherever it was in the 3rd round when that took place. It's the mental, like the unwillingness to be discouraged, and in fact going more. And he did, and it wasn't just that he kept trying. He started moving better. One of my coaches, it's at Striking Concepts on Instagram and on platforms, Evan Boris, we were texting, and he's like, Glover is moving, but then after he moves, he stops. He's not moving his head as he's punching necessarily. The thing's coming, he's moving, then waits, baff. And that's, again, not a criticism. That's just an observation. And it's limited from what we can see. We're not in that experience. So we do that. We all do that. It's just the knee-jerk reaction. We watch and we go, this happened. That means this guy's not this, but this guy's really good at this. We look for conclusions. We try to jump to conclusions, and there aren't conclusions there. They're fake. They're just our brain our brain being unwilling to not know, because we don't know why Glover Teixeira is doing something. We can go with the narrative that somebody says, oh, his leg's all fucked up. You keep hitting that leg enough times, it'll damage the mobility. It might, and it might not. Oh, he keeps going on the body. That's going to pay dividends in the later rounds. Maybe, maybe not. That's all narrative. It's not real, right? We want it to be real, and because we want to understand. We want to have knowledge. But knowledge is acquired by admitting we don't understand. So we continue the curious search for information, right? And that's kind of how you have to look at a fight like this. Glover Teixeira, we don't know why he was willing and able to keep pushing. But what we do know is it wasn't just will, it was small improvements over time. A 40-year-old guy who's been fighting much of his life starts to be capable of reading and interpreting what it is and finding that essence, that connection to the truth of the dynamic of the fight. Once that starts happening, he's going to start touching them. Starts touching them, does damage, physiological damage to the facial bones, the dental work of all of it. And the fight swings. The fight swings. Now we look and we say, should we stop the fight? But we can't. We built a relationship with this fighter based on allowing him the freedom to be able to go in and chase it to the very end, right? And we get the fight that we got tonight, and it was a beautiful one. It really was. I feel for Anthony Smith. I'm happy for Glover Teixeira, which sure, John Jones defeated him before. But wouldn't it be a cool story for a 40-year-old Brazilian, to get his chance at it? But we know the truth of it, and this isn't, again, it's not a criticism. This is not hate. We just know the truth. We can't, we could go and sit with a bunch of our friends and say, he deserves the title shot, right? Old school thinking. But it doesn't work that way. It's not about deserves. These things are created by the audience demand, which creates buys and purchases and subscriptions and pay-per-views and whatever, and therefore it's a financial, meaning. That's why it's done. It doesn't matter who did or didn't win. It doesn't matter who is ranked, whatever. That's all just mechanisms for talk. Like, we have to we don't have to do anything. I hate when I start a sentence with that. Oh, we have to agree that you know that the chance to fight for a belt isn't. We don't have to agree to anything. We don't have to do anything. But if we want to live in reality, and reality is a good place. Reality is a place where we can make sense of what we see and live within it instead of trying to force it to connect to the. Well, I deserve a title shot. It doesn't work that way. I deserve. Life isn't like that. We look at life the way it is, we accept it the way it is, and then we try to figure out how to make things work within that truth. So that fight was really cool. Drew Dober looked good too, man. I thought Drew Dober looked real good. Training with Gaethje for weeks leading into that fight. I've always liked watching that guy fight. But he was definitely sharp. There was a left hook knockout early in the prelims. That guy had 30 fights. I love that guy. Just tired. It's been a long day of fun work. So I'm forgetting his name, but it was just a little inside slip to left hand knockout. That was sick. And of course, Gaethje on the weekend. That was exciting. But thank you for hanging in here with me for a bit. Again, if you're new to my stuff, I ramble and I explore weird ideas and I meander off the path and I follow my curiosity and I dig deep into weird holes that don't always lead somewhere. But I really appreciate people taking that trip with me. I really do. It's exciting to have people along for the ride. Um, but if you are new, it's because Joe Rogan ran two of my breakdowns today, and Joe's the man. Joe's been really fucking good to me, and been watching you for years. Thank you, my friend. It's you know, this is a tangent, but to me, you must make whatever it is you do aimed at your biggest fans. And I'm not that the UFC, football, Beyonce, my YouTube channel doesn't matter. Somebody's Instagram page that sells T-shirts doesn't matter. You can again look at me go with you cannot. It doesn't make sense to try to customize your fights, your broadcast, whatever it is, to people that don't yet follow you. And in doing so, dumb it down for your hardest committed fans. You should make the shit that people who follow you, people who consume your ideas want, and the stuff that is honest. Don't go customizing your shit in hopes of getting the casual fan or to appeal to everybody. That's illogical. It's 2020. We all only search for shit that really excites us. We are bored out of our tree with the average and the casual and the mediocre and the shit that's safe and appeals to everybody. Fuck all that shit. You, if you want to move some people, you must make something that is meaningful. And if it's meaningful to some, it's going to bother others, and let that be so. I don't give a fuck if people say that I ramble. I don't give a fuck if people say that I'm esoteric or I meander or they don't like what I don't give a fuck, and neither should you. If you make stuff for people, make it for the real people, the people who love it. Make it for you, and let the people who love it find it. Right? I think that's it. It's 1 o'clock in the morning today. Had some BKB. some boxing streaming, did some Bellator work, did a breakdown for a movie called Cage Fighter that premieres on Saturday, did some Bellator work, did a bunch of stuff for TSN for analyzing this UFC. I fucking have the dream job. And then my guy Joe Rogan went and fucking broadcast two of my man. Let me tell you. Also, he said Bink in the broadcast on Saturday. That dude is just a gem. But let me tell you this. Never mind how cool it is that all these people come and say, "Hey, Joe said you were cool," which is amazing. You couldn't get a better endorsement than that for people to come and investigate your work. But let me tell you, it was joyful to watch those two professional comedians laughing hysterically out loud at work I did. Plus, Joe called me a martial arts expert. I'd be telling my friends about that for weeks. They're just going to be like, dude, I know Joe Rogan calls you a martial arts expert. Shut up. But yeah, it's been a nice, really great day, really fulfilling day. I'm back to Stratford tomorrow. I will be back in Toronto on Saturday. I will try to stream here one or two more times this week. But yeah, it's catching up to me. But man, when you're working a lot, it's the last thought. Although I say that a lot and then I keep going. But when you're working a lot, man, you can feel yourself getting better. You can feel yourself learning new things. You can feel yourself being challenged. You can feel things that used to be hard becoming easy. That's what it is. Whatever it is you love, whatever it is you want to get better at, do it a lot. Do it a lot. Fail a lot. Go do it, fail, you suck at it, come back. Anthony Smith had a tough night tonight, but Anthony Smith did more losing in the first half of his career, and that's partly why he became so good. It was a hard one to watch tonight. It was a hard one to watch. That he took a lot a lot of damage. He's going to be in the hospital for a couple of days, I think. It was a hard one. But if he, if he gets another chapter after this healing, he'll be better because of it, but he'll be changed. We're all changed with whatever we go through. We're all changed. Something sad happens, you're changed. Something wonderful happens, you're changed. So you try to get something and it doesn't come through. I don't know how many people have had that experience, but something you really want bad, and it doesn't come through. How do you handle it? You lose the big game, or you didn't get the job you wanted, or the girl or the guy or whatever that you're pursuing doesn't like you. How do you handle that? And you hope that you have it in you to be better for it. And Anthony Smith has that in him, and he's going to have to walk that right now. He's going to be in a lot of pain. He's going to have a lot of disappointment. I'll tell you honestly, when you lose a fight, and I fought at a low level. I fought at the base level professional fighting, the regional circuit. Did win this belt. It was a Canadian title. Smaller show, but I'm proud of it. But when you lose, you feel humiliated. Even though Anthony Smith in this loss and the Jones loss, he could take pride in being the kind of guy who wouldn't pretend to be injured to win a title that he didn't really win, to manipulate the system to win something by lying. How does he look his daughters in the face? Sorry about that slur. So he's in that loss to John Jones. He can see, I lost, but I learned something about myself. I'm a good man. I'm not going to lie to achieve a goal that I wanted to achieve on my own. This one, he's going to have, he can take pride, and he should take pride in all just that unwillingness to quit. And he went through pain and fear and trauma like we will never be able to experience. I swear to you. He was in a car accident and he went through the windshield, right? That's what happened tonight. Only it lasted 20 minutes. It wasn't instant. It lasted 20 minutes. It was painful and terrifying. And he went through that and inspired people. It's inspired me. Inspired a lot of you, I hope. So he knows that. He should be proud of that. And despite that, he'll still feel humiliated. You feel humiliated when you lose a professional contest, especially a fighting contest. You and another man, or two women, two athletes, you fight and you lose and you feel humiliated. You shouldn't, but you do. And it's painful. And then all these people, and I hate to be this way, but we don't know anything about it. We all kind of think we do because we heard Joe or, Cormier or whoever talk about it. We heard the things and we recognize, we think we know that guy quit. We hear Stephen A. Smith say the cowboy quit. We think we know. But I'm here to tell you, I only had 9 fights and I don't know. So how the fuck does some guy who watches fighting who doesn't train know? They don't. We don't know. And we're going to talk shit. We're going to say stupid shit. We're going to say stupid shit about courageous, highly skilled and Anthony Smith. And he's got to hear that. And the good ones, the people part of developing is to get to a point where you hear it. And if you do hear it, you don't give a fuck because you know it's really a reflection of the person, not you. But he's got to go through that and with a broken face, in a lot of pain, with probably half a paycheck. And whatever dreams and goals he had in the immediate future are now changed, And his wife's scared right now. His wife's scared and sad. And his family is scared and sad. Daddy's fucked up, That's real, right? So how we ever sit there and can somehow separate that? I mean, I shouldn't judge. We separate that because that's just what we do. We don't think of Anthony Smith, although Anthony Smith's one of these guys because he talks a little more honestly. We recognize it, but it wasn't just like, oh man, what a fucking crazy fight that guy. He's just a mauling, and we just talk about it. That's a human with a family, and he got hurt badly on television, alone in an empty arena. He's out on a stretcher right now. That's real. That's life changing, you know? And we can't forget that. Sorry, I did it again. We can forget that. But I hope we don't. Hope we don't forget that. Those are humans. And they show us what we're all capable of. And I hope they inspire us. And I hope that we don't judge them or be negative towards them or talk shit about them. We don't know anything about what they're going through. And I don't know anything about what you're going through. You're probably a good human too, doing your best, trapped in your house in a global pandemic, watching fights. Thanks for spending time with me, by the way. It's very, very cool of you. And I'm very grateful. I hope you enjoyed this meandering chat. This is what I do. If you're new to the channel, there'll be more of this. And for those of you guys that have been around for a long time, consuming my ideas and stuff, I couldn't be more grateful for you. I'm going to bed. Much love. Until I see you next time. Enjoy the hostilities, my friends. Black.